Look, I want to start at the very beginning and just sort of talk about a little bit for those of us that are joining today that maybe don't feel that they know a lot about AI. I'm interested in, I guess, just how AI has come to be the buzzword that it is, and also how it's impacted the world of work and business, even in just the most recent year or so.
Yeah, look, I think, the value that is being created as a consequence of this investment is absolutely historic. I mean, Microsoft has effectively added $1 trillion in market capitalization just in the first 3 months of this year. So we're talking about this immense investment in infrastructure and capacity. And so it is largely going to be about this competition between these large organizations. But the point being, it will be universal access to all of these enabling tools. So I think it largely comes down to any one individual's capacity and ability to be able to take advantage of the new opportunities that are going to be provided by these sorts of opportunities. But it's really going to be the ability to be able to navigate opportunities is largely about being able to improve your own skill set, to be able to understand how to use these technologies, because they are really creating an entirely new game. It's an entirely new world into which we are going. It looks like it's happening slowly. There's an old saying that change seems to occur slowly in the short term, but it's much bigger in the long term. So what we're seeing, though, is massive change even in the short term. So where we were 3 years ago as compared to now, it's an amazing transformation so far.
And it is a good
Yeah,
thing.
I think a good framework, Simon, to think about this, if we zoom out before we zoom in terms of what maybe specific jobs or industries or roles will be impacted, and pretty much all of them will be at this point. But if you zoom out, I think a good framework or a mental model here is if what would happen to your job, how would it change? It doesn't mean it would be eliminated. There will be lots of jobs that will be impacted to different degrees. But what about your job or your function in a company or your industry when two things happen? One has already happened and the other is about to happen, which is what happens when the cost of creation goes to zero. When the cost of creating content, data, information essentially goes to zero, that the marginal cost of creating new content, more of the same, is almost zero, essentially. That's the mode we're in right now. That's the phase we're in right now. That's why media companies are the most threatened, really, by generative AI in this moment. The next is what happens when the cost of cognition, the cost of thinking, goes to zero. Because that's about to happen. Meaning, GPT-4, arguably the most muscular AI model, has already shown that it's not thinking. We know it's not thinking like a human. It's doing thinking work, though. GPT-5 and successor models will be more powerful. That's a fair assumption, I think. GPT-5 probably later this year or early next year. What's really happening here, if you zoom out, is the cost of cognition, the cost of doing thinking work, the cost of being a management consultant, the cost of coming up with ideas, brainstorming. It's going to zero or close to it. So, I think that gives us
Yes, very
a
useful.
sense the impact that this is going to have, these technologies will have. And then we can get into, as I said, specific roles and industries and businesses to see when that might happen to them and what would they do in reaction to that. Again, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. It could be a great thing. McKinsey's deployed AI internally aggressively to help their management consultants. They haven't yet deployed to their customers, and they may never, but someone else will. Someone else will build a management consultant powered by AI that will be cheaper, faster, and more efficient to deliver that service to clients, and perhaps threaten McKinsey. I get asked all the time by lawyers and consultants, like, well, should I admit that I'm using AI? And my reaction is, well, of course you should. I would not want to hire a dumber or slower lawyer, or a dumber or slower management consultant or financial advisor. I'd want to hire one that was smarter and faster, and that will be the one using AI. So, no shame here. In fact, quite the opposite. I'd brag about it.